All right, everybody. Welcome back to another lovely episode of the Brandon Bonanza Show. We have a quote for you today, like I always do. But I'm on the wrong screen. Here we go. And so let me stop sharing this and share the quote. Oh, maybe I don't have a quote. I thought I did. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. Here we go. There's the quote. Oh, I see what happened. That's what happens when you do it live. Okay, so today's quote is from P.T. Barnum. There's a sucker born every minute. And it's funny because before the show started, we were talking about Connecticut because I am in lovely Connecticut. And P.T. Barnum was allegedly from Connecticut, is what they say. But anyway, welcome, to my show. We had him on the Oversharing show, but welcome, Scott, from Rebunked Podcast.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Yeah, dude. I'm so excited about your Beavis. I almost said Butthead, your Beavis thing in the background too. That is, I thought my background was cool, No,
I had a friend give me that as a gift, and it's like whenever we go to like camping or do the festivals, that's like my flag out in front of wherever my campsite is, just to kind of like represent. If you're lucky, I can sometimes regress into a pretty convincing Beavis or Butthead impression, but it has to be like extemporaneous. It has to flow out. I can't just like conjure it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll see. As we move along, it might just appear. So we'll see.
Sweet. Yeah. I've been known to bust into all kinds of different accents, so should be interesting. But yeah. So I'm really excited to have you today because I didn't even realize this when we set this up, but today's election day.
I know, man. And it's been kind of a crazy day. I just learned, one of my friends just told me that it's a full moon. My friend Lisa, shout out to Lisa. She said that it's a full moon.
Well, yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So what's even crazier about that is the full moon was actually full last night, but the way that like the ancients and the people that used to make the calendars and stuff, the way that they regarded the day was that it started when when sun went down, the next day started. So technically last night belongs to today. So there's a full moon last night that is like I don't know. I don't really think it affects it. I think it's a reflection, but it's, it's going to make people act loony or whatever.
Okay. So we're getting like the residuals today. So today's just been, it's been a funky day. I mean, I don't know. I've been kind of like had my head down, like doing a bunch of like video editing and stuff today. So I wasn't really like out in the world very much, but I have a feeling that from what I hear, it's been kind of wild out there. I mean, most of the people are obviously wrapped up in the whole election thing. And I'm just like, I don't know about all that, man. I don't know about all that. It's like, okay. So, I went and I voted for the right people. And so tomorrow I'm going to wake up and all my problems are going to go away. Bam, no problem. So there you
Amazing.
go.
We could just end the show now. That was great. Just
as
long as you voted for the right people. And if you didn't, I want to kill you. Just
yes,
kidding,
exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's
satire.
Yes, strong satire. So anyway, yeah, man, I don't know. I heard what else? What else is going on out there in the Evelyn de Rothschild, one of the heads of the Rothschild banking family, apparently passed away. I learned about that as I learn about most of my news and information from a great meme that came across the news desk. It was and I've seen this meme before. It's so funny. It's like death, the death with the sickle and everything, like at one of those machines at like, in front of like the grocery store with like the claw that goes down and like picks somebody up, you know what I mean? And or picks like a stuffed animal and drops it in the little thing. It's like death at the thing. And he's like, come on, Kissinger. Oh, Evelyn de Rothschild. Okay, well, I guess that's all right. And it's like, I've seen that meme for years now. Everyone's like, come on, Kissinger. No, it's David Rockefeller. Damn. No, it's Bush Senior. Damn it.
Yeah, I remember that one. It's like, oh, neat. Bush W or JW.
Yeah. The original New World Order Bush. Yep.
Poppy. There you go. Poppy Bush.
Yeah. Herbert Walker.
He looked like his grandfather, right? Wasn't that it?
Something like that, dude.
who's
That
one of
guy.
those crazy people who like had stuff to do with like, World War II and all that stuff, and probably World War One, allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. The Bush family goes deep, man. The Bush family goes deep. I don't know how much you want to get into that tonight. I know a little bit about them, but not probably enough to do too much. But
Well, I'll just say that was one of my ways into this. I don't know if you want to call it like conspiracy, but I knew before that it wasn't exactly what they said. But there was this guy who was on a podcast. I'm so great, but he wrote a whole book about the Bush family, and it was just amazing the stuff that he was talking about because it's all public knowledge, like. And that's what I would tell people. I'm like, this is all just, you could go read about all this stuff that happened, and that kind of goes to my point when people start talking about conspiracies. I'm like, I don't think there are conspiracies. I'm like, yeah, they're doing, shady stuff, but they're doing it out in the open. They're not trying to hide it anymore.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, that's part of the acceleration that we're seeing is like, they've been very secretive about it. And a lot of it was because like there was no mass communication to the degree where we could share this information. And there were people, you go back, there's like old school people, like 60s, 70s, 80s, they were like, they got it way back then and they're disseminating this information, but it's like they could lecture around like Bill Cooper type people, like write books or stuff. But now we hit this like exponential point of like information exchange. And now I think it got out of their hands. And now people are waking up to it. And I think they're kind of embracing that. They're like, all right, fine. Then let's just, we only have a certain amount of time before these people fully wake up and before the ants wake up and completely mobilize against us. So now we have to just do it out in the open. And I think they did that for a little bit. And they started to see that, dude, even if we do it out in the open, right in their faces, they still don't do anything about it. They still don't care. And so I think they've been emboldened by the fact that, I've been saying like literally Joe Biden could like rape and kill a kid on a stage in front of everybody. And people would just be like, oh man, I wonder what's for dinner. They wouldn't even care. It wouldn't even phase
that kid is probably Brett. He probably
yeah.
deserved it.
Yeah. He was probably a Trump supporter.
Yeah, he was a white supremacist.
Yeah. He was a MAGA Republican. So, and it would be totally fine. So we're just in this very interesting time. So I don't know, man.
I wonder if, so you say that's interesting, but I wonder if it was always obvious to some people, because, you hear about some people that didn't participate even like in the Civil War. They were just like, no, we were doing our own thing. I wonder what level the pranks, I guess we could call them, right? These psyops, how many people actually bought in. But today, I think just because like you were even saying with the internet and stuff and with TV, so many people can just access it right on their phone. Like, wow, look what's going on. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see that. I was in the woods last night looking at the moon and it was amazing. What did you do? And they're just like freaking out,
Oh yeah. There's something to that, man. Like the degree to which we engage in it, determines like how much it's going to like affect our day to day, man. Like, I can choose not to engage in it. I choose to engage in it. I kind of like have built, my show and everything. It's like, well, just podcasting in general, it started off with getting in the muck and talking about like vaccines and the New World Order and all this stuff. But as it's progressed, and then obviously like a lot of, what I try to focus my show on these days has been impacted by like Owen and like what he talks about this, the idea of like, okay, fine. So what's the solution? What are we going to do about it? And like, that's really where my heart's at, in a lot of ways. And at the same time, I do love getting in the muck and talking about that nonsense. And, and so I still do, but I'm trying to like offer solutions too. So, we can just completely disengage and go run out into the woods. But I don't know. I think there's something for all of us that are like on this journey of truth that somehow it just compels us to kind of just know. Like I can't just not know. And I've met a lot of people who just prefer to not know, which is crazy. But that's not me, man. I gotta know.
I think, everybody has their journey and everybody has a purpose here, if they can be smart enough to find it. And I think that, when some people start to think that their purpose should be other people's purposes, that's when there's an issue. So I find a lot of value in what you do. There's different stages to a lot of this stuff. And the making fun of it stage and the talking about it and all that stuff, I think is great because I'm a comedian, so I love comedy, and it's so funny, you know, like, I mean, during 2020, I couldn't even really, well, it was hard to get a stage anyway, but I kind of stopped, but it's like, I couldn't compete with the pranks. They were just hilarious. You know what I mean? It's like, how am I supposed to be funnier than them, you know? But, yeah, I think everybody has their own like relationship with it. You know, sometimes people get a little burnt out on it or whatever, but I don't know. It's funny that you were saying that because Owen kind of had that. He had like a realization lately where he wasn't sure if he was going to cover Grabbler football and all that stuff. And then he's like, you know what? No, that's kind of my purpose here right now is to just make fun of it. And I think it's great because like he's a tent pole. So people, even like you and me, though, we have other people that follow us too. And they really resonate with our message, you know, so it makes them feel, if anything else, it makes people feel not crazy, you know, which is great.
Yeah. And just, I love the fact that we can mock these things. Like that's really the biggest thing against them too. It's like just the idea of like memes in general. Like, isn't it insane that we can just completely demolish these, 100-year-long, like plans from the most, the diabolical with the infinite resource. These people have infinite resources and they've been planning this for 150 years. And finally they're rolling out their big takeover. And like, we're just destroying them with memes, dude. That's it. Like, they can't break through that. They can't. It's hilarious. It's literally just like the great meme wars of like the early 2020s, dude. Like, it's just, this will always go down in history. Like, the psychological operation, the psychological warfare is just off the charts, and we're just destroying them with memes.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it really is such a positive thing that never, stuff like that never gets highlighted. But people like us are, we could see it how all these memesters, and even I make some memes sometimes. I'm sure you make some, it reminds me of, because I used to read the newspaper when I was younger all the time. I was always into like, and especially the comics, but I would always look for the political one, even when I was like young. I love those political cartoons, but now looking back, we realize it was all probably just more propaganda, but now we can just make our own,
Yes, exactly. That's again with like, the idea of like the internet getting away from them. That's one of the things that like Sam Tripoli talks about a lot. I still like Sam. Sam's my dude. he's actually done a lot for me personally. You know what I mean? Like he's helped me out quite a bit. So I like Sam, but that's one of the things he talks about a lot too, is like the internet got away from him. Like they had this big plan about this big like technotronic like overlay that they could completely subjugate the people with, and they're still trying to implement that plan for sure. But man, we have used it to our advantage. Like you and me, like there used to be this like huge barrier of entry to be able to have a show to reach people. You used to have to like go to college and get a degree and then do an internship and then get hired at a broadcasting station, and maybe you could like have a show. Or like local access, maybe if you're lucky, right? And then, but now look at us, man. Like anybody with an internet connection can broadcast a show and reach people. So I don't know, man. Like, we've really empowered ourselves with that, and it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people will get in despair because they think that everything's so terrible and it's going so wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but there's also so many positives. There's like a real give and a take with these pranks or whatever they're doing or whatever's happening to the collective consciousness with all this technology. There's definitely a give and a take. It's like anything else. You could just like any tool, you can hurt yourself with it or you can harm yourself with it. But I don't know. I mean, I know some people that stare away from a lot of this stuff, and again, like I said, I think for some people it's better for them to do that. But yeah, I mean, I know that I could record and broadcast. I'm just like excited because like you were saying before, you'd have to like maybe get a radio show or something, and then you couldn't even really talk about what you wanted to get any kind of anything serious, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And now we could well, not because I'm on YouTube, I have the YouTube barrier, but it's not as hard as it was before, like with even public access TV. There's like words you can't say and stuff like that.
Sure. Sure. Have you synced your channel up with Odyssey yet?
No, but I probably should because I do
Yeah.
have an Odyssey account. Do they
Yeah.
take the videos from your?
Yeah, it's super easy. All you have to do is just like enter your YouTube channel and it'll sync them up, and then each one of your videos will just automatically go over to Odyssey. And then yeah, and I want to talk to you about some other stuff too, because I have a buddy who he runs a service where you broadcast your show, you do your live stream, and then his service captures it and puts it out to all the other platforms like Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, Rockfin, Float.
Wow.
Like it'll just push it, kind of like when you upload your podcast, it'll push it out to all the podcast catchers. Like it's the same thing with video. So if you want, I can tell you, I can talk to you. Actually, well, I'll plug it right now because it's content safe, contentsafe.co. So anybody that's out there that has a show and you want to like reach new audiences, like it's it's awesome. He's one of those autonomy graduates I was telling you about that, like, developed this within that class and then went out, built a business, and now it's like, a service that he offers. So it's pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Is it? I'm gonna help rub my hands. Is it reasonably priced?
Yeah, it is. It's like it's I think he's got like a month. Like I was one of their first people to ever get involved with him. Like back when I was in the Truth Villa days, like the first show I helped put together. And I believe now they're doing like a monthly type subscription type deal.
Ooh.
And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but anyway, so they're so flexible and they're just like good people, you know what I mean? So yeah,
I'll definitely talk to him.
Yeah, I'll give you his info when we're done. But
we were, I don't know, I could say it's because it's a Brandon Bonanza show, but we were contacted on the Oversharing show about going on to ladle.tv.
Oh, really?
And we're still trying to get into the process of that, but I guess what they do now is they just use, instead of hosting all the videos on the site because it's new, you just forward your video or whatever, you embed it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were suggesting that we take this stuff and put it onto BitChute because we just have it on YouTube for Oversharing.
Yeah,
because
totally.
They said the trolls might come out, because you're connected with Owen now or whatever. So
yeah. What's up with that? Where's my invitation to Ladle TV? Damn it.
Yeah,
oh, well, that's all right.
Get him up, man. Be like, yo, what the heck?
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't like bugging them very much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's still because it's new, and plus Sharon made a bunch of friends because she sang on stage and stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, if you guys get in, give me a plug.
Yeah,
I mean, I got Owen's number, fuck's sake, but I try not to bug him like for anything. I'll send him a meme every now and then, but like I'll try not to bug his ass, But
yeah, I hear you.
But
we're trying to get him on the Oversharing show too. I got to email him again.
Yeah, he read your letter. That was an awesome letter, man. Like he was all about it, man. So you just got to follow up, close the deal.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I emailed him, but I know he's like super busy, so I figured I'd give it a little time and then
totally.
Email. Yeah, it's gotta be nuts.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Man, have you so I just saw this recently. I was talking to a friend about it earlier. So we were talking about like psychological operations and stuff. Like, have you seen the Army recruiting video, the Army Psychological Warfare Division recruiting video? You ever seen that before?
I don't think so.
Here, I'm going to send it to you in the chat. I don't know. Do you do screen sharing or can you watch videos on here?
Yeah, let me just give you permission to do that, and then.
Well, I don't know. I just put it in there. I don't know if you can or if I. But dude, it's worth watching. Your audience will
totally do it.
It's like 3 minutes long, so it's a longer clip. But it's like the most fucking scariest thing you'll ever see, dude. It's crazy. So talking about like how we have used the internet and leveraged it for truth and empowerment and good and all this stuff, man. Like, just know these bastards are doing the exact same thing, man. Yeah, this is the shit right here.
All right, cool. I'm not signed in here, so you guys don't get to see all the Tolkien. Because all I get is like Tolkien stuff sent to me because I listen to Lord of the Rings so much. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah,
it's like 3.5 minutes, so bear with us, folks. But it'll be worth it.
All right, here we go.
Hopefully, it's smooth enough on. Hopefully, the audio goes through.
Can you hear it? Oh, I might not have shared the audio. Hang on. Let's try this again, folks. It's live, it's what happens.
Yeah, the audio is the chilling part. There's like, whoa, these guys, man.
Share sound. There we go.
There it is.
Since I shared a video. That's all right. Here we go.
Okay. Ha 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 ha.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me.
I had myself muted. That train symbolism is crazy. At the tip of the spear.
Yep.
You're trying. This is. Hang on, I'll get some commentary. I love how they try to show the bad guy. Look at the bad men.
Yeah.
Get us.
Well, I think what we know now, like it says, like enemies, foreign and domestic. We know that they've focused a lot of their assets towards domestic. So
Yeah.
just think about all of this in the context of domestic. That's the way I look at it, dude.
A threat rises in the east. What is this? Lord of the Rings? I just said that. What is it?
Yeah,
We're gonna worry about Mordor? It's so funny them using Russia invades Ukraine. Dun, dun, dun. Oh man. Boom, they show him making a meme. So warfare has evolved.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't.
No. Let it roll.
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
They showed a clock.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
At my
They're controlling you with time, everybody. Sorry, anyway.
Yep.
skin, the walls of night close in.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait
Wow, that train.
to say my last goodbye.
Stars, there you go. Wow.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
Pretty wild. So I'm like, damn. Okay. All right. Thanks for playing that. I thought. Thanks for indulging me. I saw
That was amazing. Thank you for showing me that. The symbolism in that was phenomenal.
I know, man. It's crazy. You know, I mean, that's a psychological warfare tool right there. You know, they're like deploy, like, you know, they probably don't even see that's the thing. They probably don't even have. It's probably like some dude. It's probably like a dude in a basement, and that's it. That's their whole psychological warfare division. But all they have to do is make a video like that, and then all of us are like, "Oh shit, they're coming for us." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was their whole psychological warfare operation right there, just making that video. And from like a filmmaking, film editing standpoint, I gotta give them props though, because they did good.
Oh yeah,
chilling.
That was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
And plus, it's such a great sales pitch for like smart young Americans that you're trying to get to work for you. You know, that are really, really smart, but might just be. Maybe they're true believers. They really believe China and all these things are a threat or whatever it is, or, you know, but yeah, you watch something like that, you want to just sign up. You know what I mean? You're like, get me on board.
I kind of want to do that, dude. I want to go like do psychological operations, but it's like, you know what? You know, we kind of are doing our own psychological operation if you think about it, like, but in like the inverted way. Like they're doing the inverted way. Like our psychological operation is like trying to tap back into like what's true, you know, the good, the true, and the beautiful, like the real, like breaking through and showing people like that is where we need to focus our stuff on. Like the psychological operation we're deploying is like, we don't need to buy into all that fear. We don't need to have fear. Like no one's coming to get us or stick a needle in our arm, man. Like, no, we're good. That's the psychological operation we're running.
It's like a support system, whereas the other one is trying to, it's a form of mind control, but it's a positive form of mind control, because like I always talk about how, you have slaves in society, tax slaves or whatever, but anyone that's a slave, they're just a slave to that voice in their head that is keeping them down, literally, because if you can conquer that, then you're a master, which means you're just a master of your own mind, but then you're not going to be a slave to somebody else. But if you are a slave, another kind of maybe negative master will come around and grab and puppet you, so it's like that same exact idea. But we're just using it in a positive way to kind of help people laugh more, and then it doesn't seem as bad, and it can conquer that. And it's kind of like if you see something that you think is a threat, but then somebody makes you laugh about it, it's just,
takes all the power out of it. Yeah, that's the psychological operation we're running is comedy. It's all funny. It's really hilarious. Like if you can't take a minute and like laugh at what's going on out there, like, you're missing out. Like this is the best show in town right now. It was scary for a minute. I gotta admit, I was freaked out, man. Like, especially like 2020, like, in Oregon, living in Oregon, like I was like, dude.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought, like literally, they were gonna start coming door to door, man. It was crazy. That was the environment that Oregon was like. It was scary, but.
Yeah, Connecticut's the same freaking way. Go ahead, though.
Oh no, I'm just saying, man. Like it's just kind of weird to think about, But what a powerful experience to have gone through, and now like it's like okay, like it almost feels like that was their big move, man. Like I don't even know what. Well, I don't want to underestimate them, but also like if they start pulling some crazy stuff again, like we can just literally just point and laugh at them, be like, I know what this is, dude. Like you don't have that much power. You aren't that strong, and you won't get me to do whatever it is you're trying to get me to do. There might be some really bright flashes in the sky and like a loud noise, but it's not like a radiated nuclear bomb. Like I know your tricks. You're gonna make me think it is, and you're gonna turn up the 5G really high, but I'm gonna be bugged out at that point, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's I think 2020 was a hardcore swing to the left, like as far as and there's the left or right, what does it even mean anymore? But as far as like government control and health and safety and all that stuff, and like liberal ideas that you think at the time, and I think we're going to experience that shift. I think that's kind of what part of today is about, and this will actually lead me into what I wanted to talk about, which was that I noticed all these things that because I'm like one of these pattern recognition guys, and I notice silly little things all the time. And I always remember every time there was an election, it didn't matter if it was like Obama or Trump or, even Bush back when, the gas prices would always come down before the election. My friends and I would always joke about it, like, gas is about to go down because whoever the sitting president is doesn't, whatever. It's just a trick they do, I guess. But gas actually went up a little bit before this election, which is crazy. And then I've noticed a lot of other little things like that too. And then I was talking about the full moon, and that makes people kind of like gives them people energy. Well, again, it's not that I'm saying it's the moon doing it, but I've when I talk about like astrology and stuff on my show, my whole view is if you look at the sky, it's just a reflection somehow of the energy down here. It's up there. I don't think it's like a planet in the sky affecting us or a rock or whatever. I think it's just a reflection, but some people are aware of this. So on a full moon, people just act a little loony, right? So if you have all this irritating things going on, like higher gas prices, home heating oils, like really high, all these silly things, I feel like you can motivate a lot of people who might vote for Republicans to vote. You might switch some people who are going to vote one way. I don't know about that, but I think you're going to motivate those people and get them out there. I think it's going to be part of like a red wave. Not that, it'll just be more grabbler football, of course, just in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree. It's tough to say, man. It's tough to say. Like, if I really feel like, it's all controlled. Like, it's all like maybe on a local level, maybe there's some, like a very, very local level, there's some, like, election integrity, but, like, talking to so many people, it just seems like, at a federal level, it's just a puppet show, and it's just meant to draw you in, and it's like world wrestling, like WWE stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, and I have a friend, or Monica Perez. Monica
Yeah.
Perez, yeah. Monica Perez. Like, I've heard she talks about this thing called the contrary law of democracy, which is the idea of, and Owen talked about it too. It's kind of funny where it's like the idea of, like, imagine if Hillary Clinton would have been elected in 2016, right? And then come 2020, they start to, like, implement this, like, hard martial law, right? Or, like, these draconian policies where and it's like they would have been like, no, dude, no. It would have been Civil War time right there. But because it was Trump, all the patriots just stood down and took it, man. And it's so funny. And then now, like, now we're seeing the same exact thing in the opposite direction. Like, ever since Biden got into office, now it's like, all of these, like here in Tennessee, for example, like, they got constitutional carry, like, within the last year. You got Roe versus Wade. You got, like, all of these, like, hardcore conservative policies passed. So it's almost like you put the party in power, and then you're able to pass all the, the opposite legislation through it. Or it's weird. It's weird how that works, and it's just like, I don't know if it's just because, like, one side gets activated when the other side is in power or whatnot, but I don't even know, man. It's just an interesting way to look at it. So if, let's say, there is this big red wave, is that just exactly what they want? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well,
but of course, go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe, I think sometimes we give the they or them a lot of credit. I think that they're just really good at reading what's going to happen, and they realize there's going to be the swing. And of course they feed into it with the propaganda and stuff, but I feel like they have access to, like, the sky clock and whatever the heck astrology is. Sure. But so I love how in that video they showed even, like, talking about the sky above. So the way I would interpret that is that, like, mainstream astrology and stuff like that is probably super grabbled, right?
Oh yeah.
Because it enables people and keeps them in, like, victimhood. And they're like, what am I going to do? I'm a Cancer. I got to be a dirtbag or whatever, Whereas what I found with it, you can actually heal those aspects of yourself. And then whatever was a negative aspect turns into, like, a weapon, really. You know what I mean? When you can master that stuff. So I feel like they or them or whatever aren't as controlling it as much. I think, like, when people like Owen Benjamin will say it's like Satan kind of doing it, I think that it could be explained in a bunch of different ways. You don't even have to look at it from that point of view, but that is a good point of view to say it. But I think it's like a power or a consciousness that we can't exactly understand. And when people evacuate their cockpit or whatever, they just push out their responsibility for somebody else, and they just want to engage in escapism and, like, watch pornos and drink or watch TV or sports or whatever it is all the time. And again, not that any of these things in themselves are, well, maybe porno, but but they just engage heavily, and then they'll kind of forget about everything else that's going on. I think when that happens, you get either called, like, a vibration or whatever, you just fall into this mode, and then you just act a certain way. And I feel like maybe they're controlling that aspect of it, or maybe that aspect is also controlling them, but they're just the ones at the top in this physical human realm. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I really do feel like the best part about that is, there's really nothing you can do for the collective consciousness, but for yourself. And I know you know this, a lot of people, is once you realize all that, then you're not a victim to anybody. They're actually, like Owen was saying recently, he's like, they're my Jews. He's like, I'm not theirs.
Yeah. Exactly, like inverting that whole thing. Yeah. It's like, how dare you stay away from my Jews? These are my Jews. Yeah. We need our Jews, man. Like, and then another great point he said too. Like, I've thought a lot about just the idea of, like, okay, so pretty much it seems like all of our problems are a direct result of government. Like, government seems to be the biggest problem that we have. So, let's reimagine a world without government. And I think there's a lot of, like, valid points to that. Like, there's some, like, philosophical, fundamental things that really do, like, in terms of, like, natural law, like, just align. Like, the whole concept of, like, I can't say, hey, Brandon, you need to give 30% of your money to this guy over here, right? I can't make you do that. And then, well, okay, so let's say I get 2 people together. Okay, so me and him, we came together. We decided that you have to give 30% of your money to this guy. And no, that doesn't work either. And so how many people do I need on my side before we can all get together and vote that you have to give you 30% of your income to this guy over here? And it's like, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't work. Like, I can't delegate rights to other people that I don't have to begin with, So like arguments like that, it's like, yes, therefore no government, get rid of it. Right. So, but again, a lot like communism, like it doesn't take like human nature into consideration in a lot of ways, like it sounds like an idealistic, like utopian idea, but then it's like, okay, well then there's all this and this and this too. So, I've had a lot of these ideas challenged a lot lately too. And so, but really, again, the solution is that we don't have to fix everything. We don't have to take on the system. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to do any of this stuff. Like, that system's always going to be there. They're always going to have that offering out there for you. And again, it's like, these are our Jews, man. Like, we had and I'm not saying like, it's whatever, the grabblers. Grabblers is a great term because it's all encompassing. You don't have to be a Jew to be a grabbler. Like, so the grabblers are the ones that are at the top exploiting.
What is even a J anyway? Like,
I know,
if you
exactly,
look into the history, and then I know you know this, but you look into the history of that, and it just will, you're just like, what? Like, it's so. And I've been hearing about this forever, but yeah, not to cut you off, but yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. So there's always going to be a grabbler of any whatever background that's going to be available there to exploit your sin and your weakness and your vulnerability, right? So like, one of the big talking points of like the libertarian anarchists who, I get along with them. Like, a lot of my friends are like anarcho-libertarian type people, you know what I mean? Like, but they're cool. They like print 3D shotguns and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, they're cool people. So it's like, but like, one of the big talking points is end the Federal Reserve, end the Fed, right? And then it's like, okay, let's say we were to do that, there would be another one tomorrow because somebody's going to want to take out a loan and someone's going to want to buy something with money they don't have. And so someone's going to be there to make that offering. It's like, you can't just end the system and fix all the problems, And so it's like, yeah, so I've had to go back to the drawing board on a lot of these things. But that's the beauty of it, is we don't have to figure out any of that shit, dude. All we have to do is like pull back, look inward, fix ourselves, our community, and build community locally. And that's it. That's the solution, man. To the point where, we reinforce our little communities, and we try to, like, I mean, ideally you scale it up to where it's like, we have our own doctors and we have our own complete, like, various different sources of food, and we've got all of our own infrastructure built to where we can opt out en masse and we don't have to participate in the system at all. Like, that's what I'm striving for in the most peaceful way you could possibly imagine. Like, not militia, not freaking none of that shit, dude. Like, we are opting out en masse peacefully. That's it. So
no, I 100% agree with you. And I think it was Mark Passio I heard this from, where he says, a lot of people that are in that mind frame, they're going and they're in the world of effects and they're already in the physical trying to change what's there. And it's really, like, I guess you could say a spiritual thing, but it's really about the realm of causes. And if you think about, like, what exactly is causing all this, it is your own behavior at the end of the day. And the only thing you have control over is your behavior. And as you start to, work on it or whatever it is, or just start to live a different way, then, like you said, you find these people and you build community. And like Owen always says realm earth, and I like to go deep into realm earth and what that can mean. And I feel like if that's what you're doing and you're not living in fear or making choices out of fear, like everybody, fear happens, you're going to feel it. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just an indicator, but it's what you do with that fear. Are you making your decisions based on fear and despair, or are you doing them from a place of not having fear about what you're deciding to do? And I feel as you do that, this realm reciprocates, and it somehow puts you around those other people. Maybe it's like I said earlier, the vibration thing or whatever. And this is like the Bear Fest. You hear all these stories. I didn't get to go. Did you go to the Bear Fest?
I did. I was there, man.
That's right. I thought I saw you in some pictures. Yeah, I did. All right. And so you know what I'm talking about. Then you get together, and I've been to plenty of bear meetups, and just the Beartari Times app, and then just the other things like you were talking about, like Richard Grove. I mentioned Mark Passio. I met some great people through him that I still even talk to. My friend Kaylee, shout out to her. I record with her sometimes. Cool. A lot of these people, and the same thing with, I met a lot of cool people with the ANCAP thing and the libertarians and all that as well. And I think, though, as you start to build your own thing and focus away, then a way is built. And I think nothing can even affect you, really. unless you allow it to, until the day you die, which guess what? We're all going to die. So, and if you really do believe we're eternal or immortal somehow, or, like we are creations of God, where could we go after we die? I'm sure there's something else. It's not like the end. So there's really nothing to be in despair or fear about. And that's what holds people, though. It's their fear and despair. And then also their, like you were saying, their, I guess you could say sins, which I think when I had James on from Grounded Extracts, I think he called that dysfunction or something like that. Or yeah,
lots of different ways to characterize it. I some of it's like weakness, like your own way, which brings about shame. Like if you perceive yourself a certain way and you fall back into behaviors that you don't want to engage in anymore, that's shameful. That could be considered sin. But also there's like evil too. Like I had this great conversation with a friend named Cheney. She does a show called Project Cheney. This is back in the day, but we were trying to like figure out like the nature of evil. We talked for like 2 hours, like on a show. I can't even remember. It was a while back, but it's almost like there's good and then there's evil. And then there's like this other thing, you know what I mean? It's not evil, but it's like all the things that maybe are like sin, I guess you could say, that are just kind of like weakness and like, dishonesty and like negative things, but they're not necessarily evil. It's like a category unto themselves, like evil, and evil kind of like moves about like kind of freely in all those things, but the nature of these, like what you'd call sin, it's weakness, definitely,
And I'll even go further when I talk about the realm earth thing. I think there's a way to look at it. So there's different ways to look at it. If you're looking at it as like a human, physical person, man, I should say, not human. Where's Sharon? She's going to help me. A man or woman in this physical realm, then there's a certain way to look at it. You don't hurt people and you don't do certain things. But then at another level, and I'm not saying it's okay to hurt people, but you realize that evil, there's a purpose for it and exists for a reason. It's causing the hardships and the challenges and the obstacles that we have to go through in order to make ourselves better people. Because think about 2020, think about all the people who got spurred into action because of that. You know what I mean? So I try not to even judge it on that level. I mean, if it's in front of me and I have to defend myself or somebody, that's one thing, or I have to stop something wrong. But when I think about the world, right, and I look out the world and all the crazy things that are going on, the way I look at it is that there's a purpose there. If you're a Christian, you could say God did create the devil. There's a reason that they're there, and it's never going to go against his plan. It's all part of the plan. So even if you are engaging in these behaviors and you feel shameful for it, it's good, because sometimes you say you got to do it till you're done. A lot of times, like a drug addict, I have friends that hit rock bottom and now they're clean and they wouldn't even touch it anymore. But it's because they had to go through those crazy, terrible experiences. I mean, I also know people that have passed away in that too. But again, if we're just immortal, then we got to believe that it's part of the plan, and maybe they had to learn something. I can't explain it because I'm not God.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, it's like, we're definitely not God. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like it's like we man.
I like to joke because some people
totally
will think I'm like new agey, but the way I like to put it is I think that we're like an aspect of God, kind of like Frodo is an aspect of Tolkien. Yeah. But Frodo himself isn't Tolkien. It's like one of those we're like in the mind of God or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the mind of God, like the infinite awareness type stuff. Like we're just like these little nodes of infinite awareness that we're just kind of trapped in this little third dimensional, small, like 5 sense perception reality, when, there's so much more that we can't perceive, I actually, the realm, dude. Yeah.
It's a magical realm. It shows you what you're able to see because of your vibration or density. I think there are probably beings around us that we just can't perceive, and maybe they are positive and negative. But I don't think they affect us unless we call them through our actions and our mindset. We call them to aid us. So for like a crackhead, we're going to summon them to get us more of that sweet crack. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That sweet crack. Yes.
But if we're out there crushing it, we're going to summon those things to help us. And I think we see it through like synchronicities, and there's like stuff happen in my life that I can't even explain. like last night, I recently met a woman who I'm very excited about, but I won't say any more at this time.
Oh, nice, dude.
But we were hiking in the woods last night in the full moon, and we both saw what you would call a shooting star, but it was like, it had like stuff coming off of it. It was like insane.
Wow.
So I was saying how it's crazy to see any kind of shooting star. I've seen them before, but you have to be looking in like just the right place. Like think about how many that you've, might have missed before or whatever.
Oh,
but
totally.
yeah, just crazy things like that in nature, and then that just running into people and meeting people, and yeah, it's nuts.
That's amazing. That's a really good analogy to just everything that we miss. God, I've been inside all day working on video editing. We're in here, like, what are we missing out there? We're missing the sky, like doing its thing, or just even if you are trying to observe, but it's a cloudy night, like you're not meant to see it. Not everything is meant for us, and that's why I just love like synchronicities or just like reminders that, hey, I might have veered off course, but at this particular exact split second, I'm right where I need to be, right at this moment in time. It's a really powerful thing. I had a great conversation with the great David Icke recently. I was able to wrangle him. I was able to get him on for an interview, and
you make me jealous, sir. You got that sweet Beavis poster. You talked to David Icke and Owen Benjamin. Must be nice.
Must be nice, dude. I just am persistent. I just hunt these people down.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just guys. Somebody tell Owen that he needs to talk to me. Hello, come on. There's some bears there's some high up bears that know me.
Dude, just hit him up, dude. Just keep hitting him up. Yeah. It sounds like you gave him a good super chat. He'll remember you, dude. I remember your letter.
I'm
sure. I remember your letter. Yeah. You sent him that. What did you send him? You sent him some gift too. What was that? Like what did you send him again?
Oh, I drew a bear with a crown and a jester's cap.
Okay. Yes. Perfect. See, so like, dude, like, come on now. You just gotta follow up. You just gotta close the deal.
I think over Sharon itself also is permeating, because when Sharon was at the Bear Fest, she kept saying Sharon from over Sharon. Like, even if people don't really watch it, they see it and know that it's a thing. It's totally. I love it, dude.
Exactly.
I'm creating a brand.
But that's exactly, man. Exactly.
Oh, it's so funny. But again, like you were saying, it's the non-inverted way. We're creating these communities of people, and I call them slaves, but they're people who watch our show. No, and we interact and stuff on Telegram, and I've even met a few of them in person. There's a couple people in Connecticut that I've been hiking with and hanging out. It's really amazing to have these conversations, because they don't get to have those conversations in everyday life. I'm blessed to be able to talk to somebody like you through Zoom. Like, this is great.
Yeah, exactly, man.
What I'm seeing, it's amazing.
Yeah, and dude, the reason why I brought David up is because like his whole the nature of that conversation, like what we were talking about, exactly what we're talking about right here. He just wrote a book. He wrote a book called The Trap, and I didn't even know about that. I had him scheduled to be on the show. And the weekend before he was supposed to come on the show, he did like a Saturday, like 3-hour or 2-hour interview with Alex Jones. And I was like, oh man, I got to watch this to like prepare. So I watched that, and he was talking about how he just published this brand new book that just came out. And I was like, how did I not know that he had a new book out? So I was like, okay. So I ordered it, and my goal was to read the whole thing so I could go into the interview like having read the whole book. And I did it, man. I cleared my schedule like for a weekend. And it's up there. It's up there. Anyway, it's like a 400-page book. And I sat down in a weekend and just read the whole damn thing, dude, in like a 3-day span. And I went into that interview and we talked about it. And literally the whole premise of the book is the Trap talks about, and I might upset some of your listeners here, but like talking about how like the story of the Garden of Eden, right? And like the fall of man is kind of analogous to the idea that we are these beings with like infinite potential, right? Like just little nodes of this infinite consciousness that have like manifested in our little, like we just have this little node. But there was a time where the human experience used to be infinite awareness, right? The whole of all human experience, human consciousness used to be one infinite awareness. And these dark archons, the reptilians, the lizards, whatever, because he's the lizard people guy, right? They came and somehow were able to take our consciousness and feed them into what he calls the trap, which is our current like meat suit existence, right? So now we are trapped in this like third dimensional 5 sense reality. But our ability and our origins were of like infinite awareness. And he talks about like how that's the fifth dimension. The infinite awareness is like the fifth dimension. And we hear like the fourth dimension described as time in a lot of senses. Like time is like the fourth dimension, but in infinite awareness, there is no time. There actually is no time if you think about it. Now wrap your mind around that one. Like time is a construction based on like the rail systems, like the train systems. Really,
dude, they showed a train and a clock.
Exactly. But if you go out into the vacuum of, well, allegedly out in the vacuum of space, right? And you're sitting there, there's no time, there's no day, there's no morning. It's just like, it just is, right? And so, but it talks about the fourth dimension as being the point of awareness in our consciousness that observes the third dimensional reality, right? So actually you can like pull back and kind of create awareness around your fourth dimensional consciousness, which is observing the third dimension. And then that can, so anyway, it's powerful. So it's a great book. And, I knew with David, like I had like 100 questions written down. I got through like 3 of them because like you set him up with something and he'll go for like, 20 minutes on one question. So it's good. It was a good conversation, but, anybody's interested on this specific, and he specifically has like a whole chapter on like lizard people. He's still on the lizard people thing. So, dude, and then how that relates to all this.
If you want to share a link in the chat, if you can do that, and then
sure,
always send it to me. I'll put it under the video. Yeah, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
I think the fact that you were able to do that and get it done and read his book, that's why you got to interview him, because you really exhibited that passion, even though he might not have known it, like the universe or whatever knew it. That's amazing.
Well, so I was inspired by Richard Grove, because like he had Whitney Webb on. What the heck? He had Whitney Webb on the show, and she just came out with her. I can reach these. These are right here. These just came in the mail, right? Have you seen these? Are you familiar with these?
No, what's that?
Oh, dude. So she just published this 2-volume set right here. It's One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1. The Sordid Union Between Intelligence and Organized Crime That Gave Rise to Jeffrey Epstein. That's Volume 1, like 500 pages. And Volume 2. And so basically Volume 1 is all about the history of sexual blackmail and all the intelligence agencies and organized crime and all the origins all the way back to like the 20s, all the players, all the politicians, everything involved, all the scandals, all the nonsense. And because she's been covering the Jeffrey Epstein thing since like 2019 after his most recent arrest, and she was doing all kinds of like deep dive articles about him, and realized how deep the rabbit hole goes, dude. And so she's been working on this book for a while now. And she realized she had so much content that she had to break it up into 2 books. The first one just being giving you the backstory, the contextual understanding of, sexual blackmail, and then how literally this country and this world is run on it, dude. Like Mossad, Robert Maxwell, and Les Wexner, and all these guys. And so only by reading Volume 1 do you have any understanding Volume 2, which is all about Epstein, dude. So, and so between the 2 of them, that's a nice chunk there. And these just came out like a month ago or a month and a half ago. And Richard Grove, who's like this hardcore historian guy, like had her on the show, and he was like, yeah, I read them. They're good. And I was just like, what? How did you read them already? But I know he's that type of guy that just like, he'll just sit down and just read a book, he must read super fast. And so I was like, that's it. If Richard can do this, then I'm going to do that for my David Icke interview. I don't even care. So yeah, but I don't know, man. I started reading this one already, but if you guys want to get like a sneak peek, so go Grand Theft World. This is Richard Grove's show. And they have posted the interviews that he did 2 interviews with Whitney Webb in the last 3 weeks or so. Just fascinating interviews, man. Just unbelievable. So highly recommend.
I love both those people. They're both amazing. And I've watched a lot of their content in the past. Yeah. Yeah. So, Richard Grove really got me into a lot of this because of his, I'm trying to think, I know I watched all the episodes that he did with John Taylor Gatto.
Yep.
And then I watched the one about the USS Liberty where he talked to the guy that was on the USS Liberty. Dude, that was crazy. Like, yeah, you could make a class out of that. Like,
I need to go back and watch that one again. It's been a long time, but yeah, the USS Liberty, that's a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole right there, folks. That'll get you in a little bit of hot water.
are you threatening me? Oh, I referenced that with
Are you threatening me?
one of my parents' friends. There's like a trunk supporter,
Yeah.
but he was in the Navy, and I was like, "Do you know about the USS Liberty?" Like, look into that.
Here, break it down for our audience, those that may not be familiar with it. Give us a little sneak peek. Go ahead. No, I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. So there's this country in the Middle East where a lot of people wear the small hats, and they in I think it was the late 60s or early 70s during a war that was going on, and a supposed war, the 7-Day War with Egypt or whatever. That country with those small hats attacked one of our intelligence ships that was like state of the art and had all the brand new stuff on it. And they flew by several times earlier in the day, and they saw the guys out there sunbathing, because what happened was the country with the small hats said they thought it was an Egyptian ship, which would mean it was Muslim. But there's no way Muslims are out there sunbathing. And then also they flew this giant American flag that they had. But anyway, they got strafed. They got shot, and then they got bombed and stuff. And then 2 helicopters full of like, I don't know, the special forces, with the small hat country, were touching down on the deck, ready to go and probably just kill everybody. And they were able to get an SOS signal out from the USS Liberty off of like an old line that was on there. And then as soon as that call went out, they were like, we're out, because now we know, like the jig is up. But it's crazy. He said he even talked to a guy. So the guy who's being interviewed was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. He's an intelligence guy, and he's still around. And he was saying how he later ran into a guy who was in the Navy, who was a fighter pilot or whatever, and he was flying to engage, and he had to turn around. He was given the orders to turn around. I was like, I don't know if I would have been able to turn around, buddy. But yeah. It would have been a different kind of movie. But it's really crazy. And of course it got covered up, and they just said it was an accident. No, we're sorry, we didn't mean to. And if you talk about it, you get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. There've been like literal world wars where they said that the cause of the war was, some foreign power sinking an American vessel. But, even there's some shenanigans around those stories too. But still, it's just like, it's always those things that they don't want you talking about that always kind of piques my interest, I guess you could say.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So the David Icke thing, I just wanted to say, I like what you were saying about his idea of the system, but I have a little bit of a different take, because this is something that came up where people talk about like this realm being a trap, or like a soul trap or whatever. But the thing about that I can't get past is that I think it's like a victim narrative thing. Like everything he's saying, I think, is right to a certain point, but I think it's possible that we choose to come here to do work, and I think it's not a thing where we're slaves, or where we could be slaves. And yes, some of us people are slaves, but like I was saying earlier, they're slaves to themselves. Yeah. But I think it's work that they have to somehow overcome. Oh, there's the link. Okay. And that's what I think this realm is about. So that's why I look at quote unquote evil that way, on a different level, everybody. But on a certain level, I realize how it's part of the system. It's like the yin and the yang. It's just like doing a dance or whatever. But so it alleviates me from thinking things like, we're in a trap, or because I really feel all that stuff is just like, it's kind of like new agey a little bit, or like
totally.
But again, he's definitely onto something. Like he's speaking a lot of truth. I think that's why he has such a big following, and whether he's aware of it or not, he might not be. It could just be his own point of view because of what he went through in his life and the things that he saw. So he's like, therefore it must be a trap. This is so horrible, But again, that's why I like people like Owen Benjamin and the Bears and stuff, because there's no despair there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're like, no, this is the glory of God and it's going to be awesome. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's such a good point. You know, it is kind of victim-y. It's like, oh, we just got trapped in these little meat suits and this is all we can ever be. I mean, there's an
Or
element
did we
that
choose it? You
Or
know,
did we choose it? Yes, exactly. It's like, man, what if I was given the choice, like, good job, dude. I'm gonna pat myself on the back. Like, you did good, dude. Like, I'm so glad I materialized in this dimension at this time. Like, what an unbelievable
you got front row
gift.
seats, baby.
Dude, front row seats, dude. Like, and I'm a tall white guy in America. Like, thank you, God, dude. Unbelievable. Like, wow, how I don't know. I must have did really good in my previous lives. That's all I'm saying. Like, I must have just like crushed. I have been crushing for millennia.
I absolutely concur. And, you know, evidence of that is just that we're connecting, you know what I mean? And people that we've connected with, like, look at Sharon. I mean, she's a freaking legend. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, that Over Sharon show, I really love it. She puts a lot of work into that, and we both do, and we have a really good time doing it. And we're like so prepared. It's amazing. Like this one, I'm like, I'll email people or tag like, hey, you want to come on? And just come on and have a good time. But that show, we're like, yeah, we're on top of our stuff. One other thing I want to say too about that, another point like of evidence is, you know, I like the as above, so below kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you see what's going on here, nobody forced us to take an experimental medical serum with a hypodermic needle, right? Nobody forced us to do this. Most people chose it. So therefore, I think we chose this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see anybody getting forced to do anything, especially these days, you know, like just like that clip going back to that showed how war used to be and how it is now. I'd rather have it how it is now, because I could be a part of it and just make funny memes, you know. I'm sure I have a few rifles or whatever, but you know, the real war is within and then through humor and to try to affect other people. What better way than to either make them laugh or empower them somehow to like grow a garden or find a woman or a man or, you know, live. And that's the real psychological, you know, it brings us right back to that. It's amazing because when you feel like the way you do about how you're just describing yourself or crushing for millennial, you're unstoppable. Because the only one who could stop you is you, you know, even if someone puts you in a cage or whatever. I always say if somebody put me in a cage, it would probably just crumble around me. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, it's funny. I had someone ask me recently, like, what's your Myers-Briggs personality type? Like, I'm an ENTJ or something like that. I'm like, my personality test, like, dude, I wake up every day and I put on my shoes and I just crush. That's my personality type right there. Like, I don't even know. I don't know.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
I was like, I don't know. I just crush every day. That's my personality type.
I'm an INT crusher.
Yes, INT crusher, dude. I'm a CC. That's
exactly. Oh, that's great. Yeah, dude.
Hilarious.
I think, you know, because the only thing stopping you is you. So, I mean, once you realize that, it's
exactly, man. And then, dude, and there's this little community, dude. We just had a bear meetup like the 22nd of October, and it was interesting because like it was like there was like 20 people there, and then we did one back like midsummer, which is also about 20-25 people. But like this one, it was a whole different group of like 20-25 people. There was a few people that like were at both of them, but it's just so cool, man. Like in this area, there's a lot of really cool people. And like from the very first one, I met some people that I'm super like close with now, like Crown Bear, Meek Not Weak Bear, Legendary Marine Bear.
Oh, nice.
Dude, like, we all drove up to Missouri together for the Bear Fest. And then like I got a job, we remodeled one of the Bears bathrooms out of that thing. So it's like so much cool stuff happened from that first meetup. And I had to leave early from this last one, which really sucks because I was helping out at this. I was like volunteering at this freaking Halloween party for people that are clean and sober type of deal. So I was like I had to leave early for that. But
sounds scary. Sorry.
I know. Yeah. Well, it was funny because it was at a church, and like we had like the whole thing decorated with like devils and like all this crazy shit. Like not inadvertently, just standard harmless like dollar store You know, Halloween decorations, but like in the context of it being in a church, it's like, oh, this is a little spooky. Like, this is a little weird. Like, I'm sorry, Jesus. I'm so sorry, dude. Like, no offense, man.
I think Jesus was a comedian. That's another bit that I'm working on. Yeah, that's a bit I'm gonna do, I think, on stage. Come on, he was funny. They just took all that out.
God is a comedian. There's no question about that. God is the greatest comedian. I mean, you can't, like, every comedian is trying to get closer and closer to God's hilarious sense of humor, dude. Like, it's hilarious. It's fascinating. Like, that's what makes life worth living, is God's sense of humor right there. That's it.
Yeah, that's why when he says vengeance, when they say vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, it's like, yeah, because that stuff is going to be the most hilarious thing ever, or you know, probably tragic, but whatever. It's at one level, it's going to be funny.
Exactly. And you know, there's a lot of and I've seen it over and over too. Like, I don't even worry about getting bent out of shape at people anymore, because it's like these character defects always catch up with people. It caught up with me, and I learned, man. It's like people always get what's coming to them, man. Like God will take care of it. Like, it'll always happen. And it seems like there's so much injustice in the world that sometimes it feels like demoralizing. It's like, it's no fair that there's no justice in this world. But I feel like there's perfect justice, man. Like, perfect justice. Like, the people are the ones that we look to, like, you know, that we have all this, like, all the Joe Bidens and the Faucis and all these people that are just like, you know, we perceive that there's no justice, man. They're probably living their own type of personal hell that they can't ever escape from, man. And then and they're suffering more than anybody, man. And it's like,
the trade-off is you have to be Anthony Fauci. It's like,
yeah, exactly. It's like, oh my God, exactly.
You know, it's like, I'm not mad. Let him do anything he wants to. Look at him, like that poor guy. It's like a Make-A-Wish. We're just letting Fauci think, you know, we're letting him fool the retards, you know, like we're giving him his big day out, you know.
Dude, that is the perfect way to look at it. It's like, you know, it's like, come on, you guys, like, come on, at least, okay, so 80% of you have to get vaccinated, because, I mean, come on, dude, look at the guy. I mean, come on. Jeez, like, I don't want to, like, I would rather 80% of you get shots than have to be that guy. Like, that's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. We got to let him have his big moment, everybody, you know?
Yeah. Man. So what's the attitude like up in Connecticut? Like, we were talking a little bit about before, but is there, like, are people like marching in the streets ready to, like, lynch Alex Jones, or what's going on up there?
No, you know, the what I've noticed is people aren't even really focused on it. I think the everyday person, you know, you'll get a once in a while, but I haven't even seen, like, on Instagram, because I'm, you know, that's the one I kind of check out once in a while if I look for memes. And I have a lot of people I know in Connecticut, even people that aren't, you know, that you could say are normies or whatever. I just follow a lot of things. And it seems to me, though, more there's some kind of new variant or something going around, and like that's starting to rear its ugly head.
God.
But I think it's also because it's right before the election.
Yeah, exactly.
It plays back into that theory. But I have seen more masks lately, and I've seen you know, what else? Just silly things like that.
That's wild.
But it's nothing that, it's not even like it was. Like, it probably was like it was in, you said you were in Portland, right?
I was in Eugene.
Oh,
I was in Eugene, Oregon. Yeah. But I'm in Nashville now. I'm sure it was
kind of like that. Here it was like, you know, I'm about an hour from New York City or so.
Yeah.
Very dense, like, suburb area, and like everywhere I went, everybody had a mask on. I was like mostly the only person without one, and I had several different confrontations that are hilarious.
Wow.
One of my most recent ones, you're gonna love this one. Oh, I'm so glad I get to tell you. So over the summer, my friend got into a motorcycle accident, and he was okay. He's still kind of fucked up though. Shout out to my friend White Dion. Get better soon.
Yeah, shout out.
But he kind of screwed up his back and stuff. But anyway, he wasn't going that fast forever. But he was in the hospital, so I went to go see him with another friend of mine who I've known since like third grade. And this friend knows it's all BS, you know, the 2020 thing, but like his wife's in on it and all that. So it's a different situation. So he'll cover his face if need be. But, you know, I'm just like zero tolerance, you know, like, I mean, I guess in a certain situation, if I really had to, and it'd be ridiculous if I didn't, you know, whatever. But most of the time, you know, I haven't really covered my smiling face yet. So, and everyone's pretty aware of that. But anyway, so it was August of 2022. We go to Yale New Haven Hospital in New Haven, Connecticut.
Is Yale in Connecticut? Yale?
What's that?
Is
Yeah.
Yale?
Oh yeah. Yale's
I
in New
didn't
Haven.
know. I guess I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. If you ever come here, I'll take you to the
Totally.
Skull and Bones allegedly.
Okay, we're
house.
going, dude. We are coming to Pork Fest.
All right.
Next year, so keep an eye out for me then. But yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, and I'm going to Bear Fest next year, so
Good. Well, we'll see you there too.
yeah. And I'm probably gonna do some traveling, so I'll
Cool.
definitely make my way through good old Tennessee.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I went to the hospital. So I knew it was going to be probably challenging. So I wore like a black shirt and black pants, so I look nice, but I still look like this. Obviously, I have beautiful flowing locks,
Yeah.
But I was trying to look like a priest or something. I don't know. And I have actually had a gold cross on. So I walk in, and there's we'll say a bike thief security guard lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and this is like the kind of ghetto hood of New Haven, which is very lovely. And so she was just like, oh, she comes walking over to both of us. Now, my friend's not wearing a mask either, but she comes walking over, and he just wants to see how I can pull it off. And then he'll like be on my side, So she's like, and I was like, oh, thank you. I'm like, but I have an exemption. It's totally legal. I don't need it. And then there's an old lady behind she was the one helping people. She chimes in, and she's like, oh, you need a mask and all this stuff. And then so the security guard's like, oh, it's our policy. And I go, oh, no, I understand it's your policy. I'm like, but you can't have a policy that supersedes a law. Like, laws are higher than, like, you can't have a corporate policy. I made it sound smart.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was just like, and then so the lady was making a fuss again. And then she goes, well, they're only allowed 2 visitors anyway. She's like, what's his name? So they look up his name, and I guess his mom was already there. So you can only have 2 visitors for the whole day now. So my friend was like, I'll just go. So he just walked in, wore the mask. So it kind of diffused the situation. But I said to the security guard, I go, I understand, but I'm like, you realize you're discriminating against me, right? And of course it's hilarious because she's black, and I'm a giant white guy.
Yeah.
That looks like this. And I'm just like, and she's just like, it's so funny. And I just walked out. My friend was like dying. He's like, I can't believe you said that about the discrimination thing. I'm like, oh, that's not the first time I've said that to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's you're right. I mean, this is the new form of discrimination, dude. Like, but we're well within our rights to say that. Like, what? Yeah. Don't.
Yeah. It's hilarious. Well, the other time is I went to a courthouse. I got into involved in this accident, and long story short, I made a super good deal to just to pay like half of the deductible or something for the people, and they dropped everything. Actually, probably because it wasn't my fault, but just the circumstance. But anyway, long story. So I went down there, and they were well aware of my face, smiling face policy.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually did stuff on Zoom or whatever they used, and it was like super cool. Like the judge was like eating lunch. It turns out like I knew the marshal. He was like the head bouncer at a place I DJ'd. It's like when you live without this fear, it's crazy, and he just like, they took care of everything. But anyway, so I went down there, and the guy was going to meet me outside, and it's taking a while. So I just went to walk in, and they had like metal detectors. It was like the courthouse, and there was a giant like bike thief security guard,
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you need a mask. And I did the same thing. And I'm like, oh, I have an exemption. And I was like, you're discriminating against me. And he just looks, he's like this big dude. He just looks at me. And we both started laughing. I'm like, I know it's hilarious. Like,
that's awesome,
man. He's
that's
like,
awesome.
what am I going to do? Yeah, it was so funny. I just like to make it funny, now it's like, and if they don't get it, like he laughed. The other lady was not laughing, but I wasn't challenging her power, but yeah.
Sure. Well, that's the biggest thing too. Like, especially out in Oregon, I saw this, man. Like, once they started opening back up a little bit, and like they were closed down for a good year, man. Like at least a year. Like the gyms were closed down for like a year and a half. It was bad, man. Like they put the boot down pretty hard. But you would see like a lot of these people, like a lot of these store clerks or, whatever, like they were like getting off on the power that they had. Like this COVID thing gave them just this unprecedented amount of power that they could just wield over everybody and just bludgeon them like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, no. But like, and they would get the most irate, the ones that would like confront you. And then you're just like, no, dude, I'm not doing that. Like, they would just lose their shit, dude. Or then also like I had so many like interactions with other customers. It was always other customers mostly. Like I had a few negative interactions with clerks, but a lot of times it was just the other people in the store that felt like, the self-entitlement to like try to, push their will onto me. And then I'm like, oh, hell no, dude. I just laugh. Like, it's fun to just laugh at that. But like, you know, I've been chased out of stores, like people screaming, I hope you die, you know, like all that stuff. And it's just like, dude, like that's so crazy, man. So
it's great.
But now it's like, you know, I can't even imagine where those people are at now that they've lost all their power. Like now that it's kind of, you know, none of these mandates exist, which they can use to exert their power over other people. Like, what do they do now? Oh, no, that's right. They're like transitioning their kids. They're chopping their kids' genitals off. That's what they're doing now. I forgot. You notice the timing on that, right? As soon as they lifted all the mandates, now all of a sudden they realize, oh shit, what are we gonna do? I guess we might as well just start chopping our kids' peckers off. Like that was the immediate like jump to logic. Like, you know,
well, you know what it was? The kid pecker cutting off machine was shut down for a year.
Yeah. Oh, they had to make up time, dude. Like I'm convinced. So
they're like, shit, we gotta chop these peckers off. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
dude,
I gotta write this. I gotta write that down. That's a good one. So like they lifted the mandate. You notice like it was that same around the same time. Like the child trans thing really picked up steam as soon as the lockdowns went away.
Yeah, it's because people lost their minds.
Yeah.
I think that's why, you know, because things here were locked down for a while, but they opened up a little quicker than that. But I think it's just because there's so many people and like, you know, they were probably going to go crazy. Like there's a beach. I live right near the beach in Connecticut. In Milford, I live, and it's very beautiful beaches. But there's one that every year around June, like when the kids start getting out of school, everybody from all the surrounding towns that might not be as nice as Milford, I'll put it that way. They might steal more bikes in these towns. Sure. A lot of people come down and just flood the place out. And like a cop got attacked this year and they stole his camera, but then the dude got caught and he's like, they just like threw the entire book at him. But, you know, it was kind of like a half of a riot, you know, so they'll allow some things, you know, they got to allow their alcoholic institutions to be open. You know what I mean? People would like literally kill their wives. Like the shit was getting crazy here. People were just like domestic abuse and drugs. And like, I know a guy who killed himself and he has like a kid. It's like, dude, you know, wow. Yeah, it got nuts.
I mean, I've seen a lot of that too. Like we call them deaths of despair. You know, a lot of people who fell into like, I mean, I think we talked about this last time I was on Oversharing, just like about, you know, my involvement in recovery and all that stuff and just witnessing it firsthand. You know, it's just like, it was crazy. It was the craziest time ever. A lot of people suffered pretty immensely. But you live in a town like with the word like MILF literally in the title of the town's name. Like,
dude, I call it MILF Town all the time.
MILF Town, yeah, that's awesome.
MILF Town. My one of my friends when he used to come here from the Marines, he'd be like, "We're going up to." He lived somewhere in New York, but he would always come here to Milford. Like people would always come up here because I had a lot of friends, and there's always a lot of females around, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Except I was just all friends with them, but that changed later, and that's in the book. You could go read it. But anyway, so. Yeah, he would call it MILF Town. It was so funny. We're going up to MILF Town.
So do they embrace that? Do they make like tourist shirts with like?
No, I wish they did.
They should totally.
You know what? I think we just made $1 million business idea, my friend.
Dude, you need to make like Milford, Connecticut t-shirt line, dude. Like how are you not like the whole like that's a whole brand right there, dude.
MILF Town. Yeah, dude, I like it. I'm gonna start making MILF Town shirts. I bet I could sell a ton of those.
Yeah, just like Milford shirts with like MILF, like all capital letters, and then like, you know, with like some gal, like just, you know, whatever. It doesn't even have to be like anything really, just like MILF Town, dude. That's fantastic.
I can even use like a some kind of symbol like of a goddess or something.
Yes, dude, you need to get on this, man. And you can go to like all the you guys have like street fairs or like any festivals or anything, dude. Just go down and sell like MILF Town shirts down, dude. Like that's game over. Game over.
The gears are moving.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Welcome to Milford. Somebody said in the chat. Oh, they're hilarious. Yeah. What's up, chat? Shout out to you guys. We've been kind of ignoring you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Caribe Root. That's who I went hiking with. Shout out to Bane Bear. He's another comedian in the community. He's
okay, cool. Oh yeah, Bane Bear, dude. What up, Bane Bear? I subscribe to your channel.
G. Lauro, I don't know, Laurora.
Lisa Smiley. What's up, Lisa Smiley?
What's up? Oh, Nigel was in here earlier. Man, I missed all the good legends. He's probably
sorry, guys.
What's up, Sammy? What's going on? I got to give shout out to my friend Sammy. I have to give him a reading soon. I've been like insanely busy, but it's good though. It's all good stuff. So,
what's up, Sammy? Nice.
Yeah. Oh, Mel was here earlier. What's up, Mel? Yeah,
Cool.
we have a great little community here. It's really awesome.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love it. I love it. Nigel, dude, thank you. The show's fire. You're fire, Nigel. What's
Yeah,
up?
Nigel's awesome. He's hilarious. Love
That's so
Nigel. He's
cool.
actually in Tennessee.
Oh, really? Now,
He's near
What?
Memphis. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I
probably
mean,
farther, but
is he in? Nigel? Are you a bear? What's going on?
Nigel is a bear.
Okay, well, you got to get in our Tentaria chat. It's t.me/TENNTARIA Tentaria.
Tentaria.
Yep, and you can
Dude,
be
that's
up
hilarious.
to speed with all of our. And then we have the Dixie Bears chat too. Let me get you the address there. So any bears that want to, they're anywhere in the South.
Oh, that's what I have to do. Share your link. Oh,
Let me get the Dixieland Bears. That's t.me/Dixieland Bears. There you go. So any bears that are in the chat.
I just shared the link to Scott's interview with David Icke in the chat.
Oh, nice. Thank you,
Check that
sir.
out. Yeah, and then I'll put it in the description too. I could probably do that while we're talking.
It's on YouTube. Oh no, wait. I guess I don't know.
Oh, did I put the wrong link in there?
I don't know. It's a RTMP. So that's probably your live stream.
Oh yeah. Oops, sorry guys. It didn't. Should
I don't
probably
know.
delete that.
No, it's cool. It's all good. Your stream. That's like your stream key or something, maybe.
Yeah. I thought I copied, but it didn't. Let me try that again.
In Memphis, Nigel. I'm in
Good call.
Nashville, Nigel. Dude, we need to hang. It's awesome.
I'll just do that.
I'll post. So anyway, yeah, man. I started doing actual work for The Last American Vagabond now, dude. Like it's
how's that
crazy.
going?
It's amazing. So like I do my show out of his studio, and I was talking to him like, what can I do to like help? Like he wanted to bring me on staff or something, and I didn't like. I was like, what do I do? What do we do? I didn't really. I mean, I don't know, dude. I'm not like a journalist or anything like that, and so like he we were like, well, how about this? How about we just start a freaking Substack page and you can run the Substack page? I'm like, okay, yeah, that works. So I've been basically curating content and writing articles. I'm like, now I feel like I'm kind of a journalist now. So there you go. So I'm writing articles, made little short form videos. But if anyone wants to check it out, it's tlavagabond.substack.com. So that's the Last American Vagabond Substack page. Super stoked about that. It's been going really good. And yeah, man, just crushing for sure. I made a quick little documentary about this company called PredictWise. It's talking about, hold on, let me see. The name of it is, I did a little man on the street thing too, like asking people what they thought about the COVID shots being added to the childhood vaccine schedule. That was interesting results from that one. I'd recommend people go check it out. And these are all free too. We don't have any of these behind a paywall or anything, but anyway, that was interesting, like going around Nashville asking people what their thoughts were about, this emergency use authorized shot that's not even like the approved version isn't even available on the market. What people thought about that being added to the childhood vaccine schedule, which if you guys hadn't heard about that, like how insane is that? And all the, like I talked to a bunch of like younger people, like probably people that were like 21, 22, dude. And they were all like, hell no. They were all fully like, they knew everything, dude. They knew about mRNA, like they knew about everything. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then it was like all the boomers were all like, yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Inject people right and left. I was like, whoa, that's so crazy. So the youngsters are getting it, man. I was super pumped to hear that. So
yeah, I think this
cool
is like
takeaway.
the flight of the boomers right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like their last hurrah. I think the younger generation does definitely get it. I think that's why the pranks are getting so elaborate.
Yeah.
And I think we're winning the meme war.
Yeah, exactly. The meme war for sure. So this is what I was. So the other one is called U.S. company secretly gave you a COVID lockdown violation score. And so there's this company called PredictWise, which was founded by David de Rothschild, son of Evelyn de Rothschild, who just passed away today. And so this Rothschild-owned company was secretly collecting everyone's cell phone data and giving you a score as to whether or not you stayed at home or not. So interesting.
And you know what the thing is too? Ryan was talking about that while it was happening in 2020. He was saying that they're collecting all this data.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Yeah, exactly. It was during 2020. So there you go.
The people like that were very on top of it. They were talking about all this stuff because it was out there. You know, people just didn't want to see it. It's kind of like what Owen was talking about with the social credit score system that happens in China. Like a lot of people are into it.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude, about that too. Like I've done some like looking into that, and you know, that's the infrastructure for that is kind of based on like this program called WeChat. It's like a huge, like all-encompassing system that they have over in China. That's kind of like, it's kind of like your it's a very centralized, like they give you they have like a central bank digital currency. They give you that on your WeChat Pay. And then it's like you order food and it's just like an app that you do everything through it. You know what I mean? And that's how they roll out their infrastructure for the social credit system. And Elon Musk recently, I heard him saying how he was saying we need a WeChat over here. And he's developing this app or program or something just called X. It's called X. I guess he owns the domain x.com, I guess is what I heard. So he owns x.com, and his idea is to make a all-encompassing app that does everything, which is exactly what already exists over in China, and they're using it as a social credit score, central bank digital currency platform. It's like, dude, what are we doing here? What are we doing here, man?
Yeah, and, they're basically just getting away with as much as they can. It's funny because that you say X, because going back to the realm Earth thing very quickly, but the way I describe it is if you think of a figure 8, how it's like an infinity symbol where it crosses and it makes that X. You have the cross, the X. I think that represents the physical. And then in the other arc, we're like an energy, but we're still in the realm somehow. But that represents the physical domain is that X. And I feel like we're energy kind of being tricked into this physical experience, but it allows us free will. Like you were saying earlier, allows us to experience good and evil and make the choice and actually learn things that we wouldn't if we didn't have free will. Like people like Crow or other people say how angels don't have free will. It's kind of like, I think that's like a metaphorical way to say it. But yeah, it's amazing. And then he makes it X. So it's kind of like a lot of these people, maybe if they don't even understand what they're doing, but it could just be symbolic. It's crazy, but a lot of them understand the symbols. And that's kind of how I got into this, going again, back to shout out to Richard Grove again, because a lot of his stuff, he talked about symbolism. Then he led me to Mark Passio, who led me to Michael Tessarion. Yeah. And when you look into the symbolism stuff, it's all over the place. It's great.
Yeah, man. Have you ever read Secret Teachings of All Ages? Or have you ever looked at that book?
Yeah, I haven't read the whole thing, but I have looked into Manly P. Hall. Listened to a lot of his lectures and read parts of the book. Yeah,
I like Manly P. Hall, dude. He's kind of it's good stuff. Like it's fascinating, at least like his understanding, and like there's some good stuff. Like in Secret Teachings of All Ages, in particular, there's this one chapter about colors and music. And like how music is like the esoteric like meaning behind each note, and like it corresponds with each layer of the realm and everything, like up through it's crazy. It's good stuff, man. I don't know. I was really kind of blown away by that. But his historical, the context of just like symbolism, like all the way back. It's hard for me to articulate right now. It's because it's been a while since I've read it, but it talks a lot about like, like back in the day, like secret society, and even we kind of started off talking about this, like we give too much power, right? But they still like almost hold on to certain pieces of knowledge that they don't want the profane to have access to, right? Like they don't want us to have access to certain levels of knowledge, and so that's why you have to have these initiatory like secret orders and secret brotherhoods where they hold on to this knowledge. And maybe at this day and age, in the age of information, some of that stuff's really harder to hold on to, or maybe those 1 or 2 pieces of wisdom that have been maintained throughout all of history are really powerful pieces of information. It's like if they're able to hold on to it like that. But back in the day, the way that people were subjugated were, they kept information from them. And back then it was like just basic things like numbers or geometry, like shapes, like just very, very basic things that we take for granted. That back in the day, that used to be the information that they kept, secreted away in these like initiatory secret societies. And it talks about like the evolution of, all of these different orders and degrees and the symbolism involved. And it's fascinating stuff. So, and so I don't know, maybe we have all the information, but maybe there's something that I feel like what they're holding on to is there's some keys there, but maybe not. I think that maybe a part of it too is that like the information is all out there, but they're keeping us suppressed with a lot of the soft kill type of things that have been deployed against us. And I know like Owen like talks a lot about like, oh, it's a bunch of bullshit, but like, GMO foods, like stuff that they spray, the water, the tampering with the water, just like the lack of nutrition and everything, the screens and the frequencies, like all of them together create this just the toxicity, the heavy metals. I mean, like, you can't tell me that there isn't at least being heavy metals introduced into our body somehow. I mean, that's pretty easy to prove. And so it's like all these things that have been introduced to keep us dumbed down and just like softened and just weak and dependent. It's like to me, it seems like a very deliberate attack, because maybe there is no more like levels of initiatory knowledge of us to achieve. And so therefore they have to just keep us artificially dumbed down, I don't know.
And we still are geniuses though. Look at us.
Yeah, exactly. You can't
look at how hard they have to try, Yeah, it's crazy.
They have to like prop each lie up with another lie and another lie and another lie. It's starting to all come down. They just can't do it anymore. And so
such an inversion.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Yeah. What else is going on in your world, dude? Anything new or exciting?
Well, all kinds of stuff, but what you just said, like, it's really getting the gears turning. I was kind of just trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to say first.
Oh yeah, sure.
But so let's see. Well, let's go to the chat. That's what I always do. And
sure.
Let me mull on that for a second, because there's something I was going to say and I kind of lost my point. But Karibe said something that's really hilarious. We were talking about the social credit score thing. That'll jog my memory. My score must be 0 since I didn't stay home. Yeah,
good job. Yeah, same here, dude. Like, we're definitely on the oh, and the other thing too that's really funny is like the way that they labeled the people too. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Compliers is what they call them. Compliers and non-compliers. So there you go. You're either a complier or a non-complier.
That's crazy. I remember now what I wanted to touch on and talk about. It's kind of like with what's going on with the children, or how they could see this and how it's getting so crazy and stuff like that. I think that that it's getting better, and I feel like maybe not for everybody, but I feel like something's gonna happen, and it really already is, where a lot of society's kind of spiraling up and a lot of people are spiraling down. And it's not even just like the bears, like other people who are just taking advantage in a good way of these situations because they're just hard workers.
Yeah.
And they're family people and they're just good people. They don't have to know that we didn't go to the moon or whatever, but maybe we did. But so I'm seeing a lot of that, and therefore, and those are the ones that are having kids right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, it feels like it's going in a positive direction. I think that's why they really ramp all this stuff up, and they, all these people they're trying to grasp onto their last little, because they used to be able to get people to just march to war, like it was crazy. You could just get people to go in a field, and now you can't do that anymore,
No, I think they're wise to that too. I feel bad. Like, oh, it was funny. I was at this like festival downtown Franklin, Tennessee a little bit ago, and it was like, there was like thousands of people down there. It was huge. And like, they had this army recruiter station. All the guys were just standing there all about like, there was like this big, like half circle around them, like 10-foot radius. No one was like trying to get anywhere near it, dude. Like, I was like, wow, that's hilarious. Like all the other booths had like 20 people huddled around them, like looking at all the stuff. But the army booth, it was like, nobody was within it. They were like literally walking wide to avoid it, dude. I was like, yeah, don't join the military, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, things are definitely changing, and it really goes back to like the shifts that occur. But I think right now, like we were saying earlier, the front row seat thing, I think that it really is one of those times where people are going to look back on and be like, what the hell happened back then? And we could be like, this is what happened, like and that's why I love the books like by Whitney Webb.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know who Scott Horton is, but he
wrote
a couple great books because they're like their new history books now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, here's your history of what happened in Afghanistan. If you really want to know, it's all right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. I want to do a show with Scott one of these days. I think he kind of loses me on a couple things, but over like his. But that's the thing. You can't be not everybody can be perfect on everything. But he lost me like on the Gary Webb stuff, and I think he believes that like he thinks that Gary Webb was like a botched suicide. Like he believes like the mainstream narrative of that, and I think he believes the main account of 9/11 as well, the 19 hijackers with box cutter story, which is interesting.
I think he got burned with the conspiracy stuff because I think he used to be a conspiracy guy, but that's the thing. There's so many, it's so nuanced, it's crazy. Or maybe he just knows he'll reach a better audience with that, or who knows, What I always say to people, it's like people like us, what we always, or, just good people in general, they'll put their way of thinking onto somebody else and they think that's how they think. Like, this is in poker. This happens to me all the time. My friends would be like, you're giving people too much credit, like that guy's got like bottom pair right now and he thinks he's like golden, you're like, don't give people so much credit. And not that we shouldn't give Scott credit, but he might just see the world in a totally different way and it just doesn't matter to him one way or another, but like we always say, he's a good dude, so who cares?
Exactly.
I mean?
Exactly. I agree. I totally agree.
Like, who cares if people think we live on a spinning ball or a flat earth?
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't.
Exactly. I mean, there's certain things I'm probably going to judge you more than others, and there's probably some things that like will probably make it so we probably won't be like best friends and stuff. But it's like I can't like disparage somebody or pass too much judgment. I mean.
Yeah, like if you watch the footage from the moon landing and all this stuff that I've seen and you still think that was real, like I'm going to harass you mercilessly about it probably. But,
yes. And you know what? There used to be a time where we could mercilessly make fun of each other, ridicule each other for our beliefs. And it wasn't the end of the world. And we could still like be in bands together or like be cool with each other. But man, like, I don't know, man. Hopefully we get back to that stage. I miss that world,
Yeah,
I think innocence
it's
of
back. It's just like South Park said before they got really bad. I don't know. I haven't watched it recently, but I used to. And they're like here it's getting all PC again. When's it gonna be? And there was like two farmers. They're sitting around like, oh, things are getting all PC again. How long do you think this is gonna last?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a crazy swing in the other direction. Like I really do. Like especially with all the Grabbler football. Oh my god.
Yes. Oh my god, that's so funny, dude. Like it's when Owen was like the Los Angeles Lampshades driving to the end zone, I was like, oh man, I was dying.
I think he was reading the chat at one point. I know.
And
that's the best part. Like,
yes, a bunch of geniuses. That's so funny.
Oh, they're such high level ball busters. I love it. That's what I see. I really appreciate that. Like, was telling somebody recently, like, I'm like, I don't think I can be offended. We used to be, I was in the Marines in the 90s. We would just mercilessly, like, they called me Titty because I had like kind of man boobs and my last name was Smith and it was Smitty. And then somebody was like Titty. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, busted. That's hilarious.
So it's like, what are you going to say about me that's going to bother me? Nothing. It's like,
nothing. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. That's hilarious.
And then I was a stand-up comedian, and I've noticed that some stand-up comedians are kind of sensitive though. Like, it's funny, like I would have to be careful, but when you're around the right group of people, you're just like busting balls.
Yeah, man. And it seems like, can we get, at least at the very least, can that community not be sensitive and like crybaby? Can we just like at least have that be like an autonomous zone? If we're gonna have like these autonomous zones, can't like a comedy club or the realm of comedy be like anything goes? I mean, this is where we test ideas. If someone does something that's like way like, then we just be like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like, but you bust his balls. Like, we just need to get back to like, instead of canceling, let's just ridicule. How about that? How about, oh, dude, that's it. That's what Twitter should do, man. Instead of canceling people or deleting people, if someone says something like horrible, then we just prop them up and be like, hey, everybody make fun of this guy. And then we just razz that motherfucker to death, dude.
Exactly.
And then, and then that's it. You just get your little ridicule, and then that's like, okay, fine. And then it'll be a self-policing organism where we don't cancel people. We just make fun of them. But what am I describing? I'm describing like what the internet was like, in like 2004. I mean, bam, like you're in a chat room, you're like acting like a little gamma dude. Then it's like a boom. You're going to get handled.
That's before all the bots.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what ruined it made it what it is today is the billions of bots that we don't realize.
I just posted something on my Twitter. I saw some other person post this and I retweeted it earlier. And it's, I guess all of these like Twitter people are like, leaving in protest, they're like, I'm going to leave Twitter, now that free speech is here, like, I'm going to go.
Now that the guy that put the car in space is here.
Yeah. I'm going to go drive home in my Tesla and then and then I'm going to log out of I'm going to close my Twitter account and then I'm going to go
drive home in my Tesla.
I'm going to drive home in my Tesla and then I'm going to go, home and I'm going to cancel. What? Come on, dude. It's not letting me. Hold on, I'll just pull it up on my phone. But anyway, it's and so anyway, this person made this video montage. It's towards the top of my thing. I'm at Rebunked News on Twitter if anybody still uses Twitter and wants to find it. But it's a few posts down. It's it says they didn't know how good they had it. Some person made a post about how all of these people are leaving Twitter and going to Mastodon, and like some of these posts that they're making, it's like and then they're making these like hello posts on Mastodon. They're like, let's see. It's like, hi, I'm new here. I like sewing and I had to leave Twitter because it's so bad, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm, hi, nice to meet you. Oh, say, hi, I'm Meg. My day job is a journalist for Pen.live. I do social media editing, podcasting, and journalism. So glad to be here. And then all the comments are just like actual, like the most racist things you could ever possibly imagine. It's it's just like they're like thinking they're going to Mastodon to find a better, happier, safer place than Twitter. And it's like, no. That's where all the real hardcore people are at. That's their brand of humor. And they're not even probably racist. They just love using the N word and the FA word. And it's just like that's just their vernacular. That's just like crazy, like 4chan internet vernacular, dude. And it's like, so they leave, and that was my Twitter post. Like, they don't know how good they had it here, and there they are, like in the slop. It's so funny, man. Like,
yeah, it's so funny. That whole racist thing is hilarious too, because like I've hung out with all kinds of different people that should be racist. Like I was friends with a black Israelite, like in 2004. I used to sell cars with him and we would have these amazing conversations, and he was kind of like a low key, because he had to sell cars, and he was, he was like a hood guy but he wasn't like bad, but he grew up like that. So he was like, we would talk about rap music, like Eric B. and Rakim. But anyway, he was very intelligent. We would have these conversations, and, then I was in the Marine Corps with people who would like have rebel flags that were from the South, and they're supposed to, but they weren't any of these people. They were just still judging people based on their actions, not just their skin color and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember one time, like, I would have to convince these people that they weren't racist, that I was in the Marines, because they were like pretend to try to be racist, and they're like, oh, we don't like black people. I'm like, you like Gillis? I'm like, they're like, yeah, but he's not black. I'm like, he's black. Like, yeah, but he doesn't. I'm like, dude, you're not racist. You just hate assholes, you retard. Like,
exactly, dude. Exactly.
Like, Gillis isn't black. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's pretty wild, man.
Shout out to Gillis. He was great.
Shout out to Gillis, man.
Sorry. Anyway.
And it's funny. And it's like, if you think about it, like probably the least racist people in the world are like white Americans, like in the grand scope of like the whole human race. Like, come on, dude.
I know people that hang swastikas that are not racist at all.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's like peace, and it's like the Dipper, right? Big Dipper.
I mean, I know people that hang them in other ways too.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know all kinds of people that I'm friends with, and it's not what you hear. It's not any of the racist stuff. Even against small hat people, it's just more about, well, not with all of them, but with some people, it's more about working on yourself and all that stuff, and ideas that were said, and shit gets twisted. But anyway, it's funny because you try to paint somebody as, it's like, I've never really met a racist person. They might have thought they were racist, but I convinced them that, it's so funny.
Exactly, man. Exactly. It's all about, like, even that is like, so that's another big thing that Owen talks about too, is like, those, like, if you're outsourcing all your problems to some other like class of people, or like blaming all your problems in your little life on other people, what do we call that? We call that victim consciousness, dude. And that's the weakest, most pathetic place to be coming from. So if you are out there blaming all your problems on another class of people, then you're weak, and you probably need to take a look at your life and figure some shit out, That's not anyway. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's such a great message. It really is so true. I don't know, man. It's great.
Yeah.
But let's see, what else have I been up to? I started to write another book in September and October, and then I kind of took a break, but it's pretty much all out. I think maybe one more chapter. Like, I've been writing short chapters, but it's about like cultivating your intuition and victim consciousness. I basically start the book by saying, victim consciousness, is that the root of all evil? Could it be?
Probably.
And, I go into that stuff, and then I talk about like cultivating your intuition and overcoming the voice in your head and all that stuff, and like different ways to do that. But yeah, I'm very excited about it. I just got to get back in it one of these days. But yeah, no. And then what else have I been up to? Just doing these live streams, really. I started in maybe September doing them.
Okay,
again,
cool.
Because I haven't.
Yeah.
I was just doing the Oversharing show for a while, but I was like, well, I've been meeting all these great people, and I have time to do it, and I always loved to do it before. So I just hit up a couple of people, and we did it. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep hitting people up until I run out of people, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. I can even do solo ones. Like, I did one solo one. I'll probably do a couple more, but solo live streams are fun.
Solos are fun. I another fun thing you can do too is I think there's a way you could do it like on your phone using like a Google Voice type thing, but you can like take calls too. I started doing that a little bit. Like, I was doing I have like this little soundboard that has Bluetooth, so I was connecting my phone to it, and then like taking calls. Like, I just make a Google Voice number and give it out on the airwaves, and like,
next time you talk to David Icke, Brandon in Milftown, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Say, I'm like, hey, David Icke, I love all your work, but don't you think it sounds a little victim-y? No.
Yeah, exactly, David. Come on, David. Like, we're trying to
David, you're better than this.
Yes, you're better than this. We're trying to take extreme self-ownership here, David. Come on, it's not like the lizard people are not.
What if we chose it?
Well, yes. Yes. What if you were a lizard person in your previous life, and you chose?
And I would further say, even if we didn't choose it, and even if this is a soul trap or whatever, if we act like it's not, wouldn't we short circuit it by being like, whatever happens to us, we're like, whatever, just keep fucking going, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Now all my hair is gonna fall out, my teeth are gonna fall tomorrow. I'm like, damn it, what did I do? No, but yeah, I think that that's the key to just in every moment view life from that place of gratitude. There's always something to be thankful for. I think that's really what I've been trying to do a lot more, and it's been helping me a lot, and people get it. It's great. You go to these meetups and people like, it's like, you get a culture where people, instead of being afraid to say like nigger or whatever, they're more afraid to be a victim in front of other people. You know what I mean? It's
sure. Great. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm pretty grateful for this little community that we got going on, man. It's pretty good stuff. It's good stuff.
What do you have coming on the horizon? Any other
I don't know, man. Like, you mean as far as like the show goes?
Yeah, the show. Yeah. And what else? Whatever. Any other cool flags you're gonna be putting up? No.
Yeah. Well, I'm in this really weird, interesting maybe hopefully transitional phase right now. We've got a lot of projects that we're working on over here. Ryan from The Last American Vagabond, myself, and then a gal named Courtney Turner, who does an awesome show called the Courtney Turner Podcast. She's here in the Nashville area as well. And she gets these amazing guests. Like, it's crazy. Like, she's gotten like all these like super high level guests. And like her show is like still kind of like, she started her show post-COVID, so she's still kind of scaling up, but her networking skills are just unbelievable. Like she goes out and flies to all these conferences and meets all these people, and
Wow.
and so she has like this awesome like way of just like getting to know people. And so anyway, the three of us are starting our own little media company, and that is in the works just very, very recently. We've announced it publicly, so I can talk about it, but it's called so Ryan, he's his whole thing is he's kind of innovated the idea of pirate streams, and that was in response to YouTube censorship. So what he does is he when he does his show and he puts it out every day and he streams it on YouTube, but usually within a day or two they shut that YouTube account down, or they'll take that video down, and so he has to pivot and shift to another YouTube channel. And so he's got a team of people that just are always creating new YouTube channels and then are updating the links as to where the stream is going to go out to, right? So he creates a web page on his website every day for the stream, and there's an embedded YouTube video, but it's like a new account like every day. And so he's just like, fuck you guys, catch me, you know what I mean? And so he started calling that pirate streams. And so his branding, and part of his branding has kind of been the pirate flag and pirates and this and that. And so Ryan and I were talking about like, okay, so what, how do we like, because the thing about Ryan, dude, is like, if you guys are familiar with his show and his work, he's just like that in real life, dude. He's just so focused and just so dedicated to just research and putting the information out, to the point where he, over the last couple of years, he just doesn't put any effort into like marketing or like looking for ways to like grow his platform at all. And I'm just looking at him like, dude, man, like let's see what we can do. Like, I mean, who am I? I'm really, whatever, dude. But I'm just like, bro, like I can help you in a lot of these ways, like we can grow this, you know what I mean? And so I've come on and to a degree, just like, I want to add to what he's doing. I don't want to like be, I don't want to be anything where he's like, having to like pay me out of pocket or anything like that. I'm like coming on board, be like, okay, how can we add to what you're doing? And so he tasked me with running his Substack, and so whatever we make out the Substack, like that's like, we have like, I'm splitting that with him basically, so that's going to help as we scale it up. That's going to like fund my involvement in the project. You know what I mean?
Well,
and like hopefully that's going to like, be able to replace my income at some point where I can just do this full time. Like that's the goal. So I'm putting a lot of effort into that, and then taking that money and reinvesting it in the infrastructure. And so we're looking at hopefully getting like a studio, bringing on other content creators. So like anybody that's out, just keep going, man, because we're going to need more content creators. Hopefully, like the idea being we're going to be able to platform other people and just continue to grow. And like my vision is like, I didn't even know this up until just like a month or two, like, man, I don't know, maybe like 3 months ago, that like the Daily Wire is here in Nashville. Like I had no idea. I didn't know it was like, but they're here in Nashville. Yeah. Like Ben Shapiro is like in this town, dude, or maybe
go back to the Daily Wire.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
You could literally go back to the Daily Wire.
I know. Exactly. And
awesome.
Candace Owens and like freaking Matt Walsh, those guys are all here in Nashville. I had no idea.
Wow.
And so
that's a market you could tap into.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, that's what I was talking to Ryan about, is I'm like, dude, I want to make a platform. Like, why does Daily Wire get to have like this huge voice and like we don't? Like your level of journalistic integrity and what you bring to the table is a billion times better than freaking Daily Wire. You know what I mean? I'm like, we could build something way, way, way better than that. You know what I mean? And so that's the goal. That's the vision, is to build something that competes to a level of like something like a Daily Wire. You know what I mean? But there's other outlets like that we're kind of like looking at, who are more in alignment. You know what I mean? Like Iconic, like David Icke and the Iconic Media, like what they're doing. Something like the High Wire. These are the types of platforms that we're looking at to like, okay, so how do we like, imitate something like that? So that's what we're looking at. And so we've got a whole bunch of different ideas to facilitate that. We're trying to put on an actual concert, like a real life in-person concert, and hopefully in January. We're looking at venues right now, but we're going to try and put together like a real life concert, and potentially like a festival too. Like these are all things that are happening like in the works right now. We've got
LLC. No, dude, I would totally be involved in that. I would speak or whatever. And
exactly.
If you ever need someone to interview somebody, let me tell you, I can definitely interview the socks off of people, because for some reason people always get comfortable with me and they just like, I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like just some of the interviews I've had, people like open up and will.
That's awesome.
Everything. Yeah, it's
exactly. You guys did that to me on freaking the Oversharing show. Yeah, that's your whole point of oversharing. Like I was talking about like all my like dark, crazy addict history, which I have no shame about. I talk about it pretty openly too, just in general, because I think it's important for people to know this stuff. But yeah, you got some good information out of me too. So yeah, dude, totally. They're hopefully that's the idea, is to grow and have room to bring other people on board. You know what I mean? And my vision is I want to like have like a team of people, like be able to bring high level people on to like help with all the different elements that need to be done in production and content creation and everything like that. And so, luckily Ryan shares that vision. And so we're like, okay. And he's got, in his words, he's like, The Last American Vagabond has all of this like capital built up, but we haven't done anything with it, and that's because he's just been literally just nose to the grindstone every day, churning out just the best best information out there with the highest level of journalistic integrity possible. And he hasn't like taken a look at and he's just the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. And so like we're trying to look, okay, so what's next? What now? And so hopefully partially with the Substack, that's going to be something that'll help us, make some moves. And I put a lot of focus on that. But of course, I have my show as well, Rebunked News. And I'm talking to Jason Burmis tomorrow. That'll be fun, like a post-election kind of wrap up. I'm trying to think who else I've got here. Miriam Hanane. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she's freaking awesome. She's got she is right in the middle of producing a George Floyd documentary. And I actually helped. Yeah, exactly. And I've helped her with some editing on that last year when she was first getting the project going. Like I helped her make a trailer for it and stuff. So I've helped collaborate on that project a little bit. I've got Maddie Bannon from the autonomy community coming on Saturday. Well, I don't know. Yeah. So Saturday, that's conversation we're going to talk about. So I just wrote my first actual article, and I'm really proud of it. And it's my response to the remember that article that came out last week? It was the pandemic amnesty. Like we need to declare a pandemic amnesty, right? That freaking article. So I wrote my first official, my first article, which is an editorial response to that, which is on the Last American Vagabond Substack. And she read it and she was like, I think it's great, but I do take issue with a couple things. And so we're going to hash that out on the show on Saturday. So I'm like, yes, that's awesome. Yeah. I think I have a feeling like I don't want to put words in her mouth. I don't know what we're letting it be a surprise. So we're going to hash that out. My buddies at Legit Bat. Have you ever heard of the Legit Bat podcast? Legit Bat, dude, you would probably love them because they're hilarious, man. They're in California and they're just like this husband and wife and then his brother, but it's mostly the husband and wife because the brother kind of shows up to some shows and doesn't. But you should check out Legit Bat because they are hilarious. They're absolutely hilarious. They're like a comedy truther show, but it's not even. And they're just like, they just talk shit but they're freaking hysterical.
Send me a link.
Joe, the main host, Legit Bat. I've actually stayed with them before I went down and visited them before, and they're in Northern California. So when I was in Oregon, I've stayed with them. They're coming on next week. They're great people, man. And it's just like a comedy truther show. It's freaking awesome. John Paul Rice, you know who John Paul Rice is?
I don't think so.
Okay. He runs a film company called No Restrictions Studio, and he went viral during COVID, and he just like made this like Facebook post where he was just talking about because he made a movie called A Child's Voice about child trafficking, and he made this like Facebook Live about the nature of child trafficking, and it just went super mega viral, dude, like just insane. And you probably maybe I would assume have seen that clip, but that was like 2020. But he's awesome, man. I've had him on the show a couple times, and he's just like this really like just high level thinker. He really just like takes a topic and really has interesting takes on it. And so he asked to come back on to kind of expound upon whatever it is. He'll like hit me up like every 6 months and be like, all right, I got this one thing I really want to get off, I really want to talk about. And so I'm excited for that. So I don't know, man. It's just like all kinds of fun, crazy, exciting, awesome things in the works right now. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And yeah. I think I've talked with Marianne before.
Yeah. Miriam, it's Mara.
Oh, Miriam. Yeah. That's right.
Maraym. She produced this film back in the day called Vanishing of the Bees, which is a great film. Narrated by what used to be Ellen Page, who I guess now is Elliot Page, and Yeah, if you ever interview her again, dude, I'd love to put you in touch with her because she's always willing to go on shows and she's fantastic. Like she's a feisty one and it's hilarious, dude. Like and then ask her about Elliot Page. See what her thoughts about Elliot Page are.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, it's
Yeah.
funny how people get wrapped up in these pranks or spells. Or
Exactly, dude. Pranks, spells, man. Jeez. So yeah, I don't know, man, but that's pretty much it, man. Just
Awesome.
out here crushing in Tennessee, dude.
Yeah, I definitely got to make an appearance. Well, we've been going for about 2 hours. That's usually
Cool.
about the limit on these things. I don't
Sounds
want to keep
good.
it all night, but thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, dude.
And again, where can people find you? And I think I put the link in the description anyway, but go ahead.
Totally. Yeah, links to my show are at rebunked.news. And then check out the Last American Vagabond Substack. I'm proud of it. Like I've done all the content on there. A lot of what I do is just take clips of Ryan's show because he does like 3-hour episodes. So I'll take like, a 10-minute clip out of that that's really good. And then I'll put citations and maybe just write a couple paragraphs with links to follow up for more information. But check out tlavagabond.substack.com. So that's what we're working on. So
yeah, definitely.
Thanks, brother.
I've noticed he has an amazing audience too. They're really cool and
Oh
supportive.
yeah,
and
man.
stuff,
The whole community is really cool. And that's another thing we're going to be doing is we're doing for like subscribers, we're doing like that's the only thing that is going to be behind a paywall is like we're doing monthly Zoom calls for the community. So
Ooh.
I'll be hosting one round of them each month, like for anybody that's joins the TLAB community, doing like a big round table, like Intel Exchange Zoom call, just like a town hall type of thing. And that's like, just for like the $5 a month level, like anybody can get in on that. We're actually doing our first one this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'll be hosting the first TLAB roundtable this Saturday at 2. So anybody listening here, if you guys want to get in the TLAB community, dude, like totally, that'd be awesome. And then Ryan has agreed to host a Q&A session once a month for founding members. And that's a little bit spendier. We put kind of like a premier, tier to support the show. And that's available to, and then he'll be hosting Q&As for those folks. But just the basic subscription, $5 a month, and that'll be the basic roundtable discussion. So,
yes,
yeah.
And the immortal words of Owen Benjamin: "Support what you love, or it goes away."
Exactly, man. Exactly, dude. And and we're big believers in the value for value model too, where and even this pirate stream media, like it's gonna all be free, man. It's like the whole Adam Curry no agenda model, like they kind of. I think Adam Curry's said he's writing a book about the no agenda or the value for value model, because I feel like that's like the best way to approach this whole thing with integrity. Like no what do you call them? Coupon codes? What do you call them? Promo codes? No promo codes, no paywalls, just freaking support what you love, man. And there's a lot of people who's like, shit, I'm sending Owen super chats all the time, but also there's other content creators who I support because I get a lot of value out of what they do, and so, I think it's an important way to be in the world. So anyway, I'm not just saying that because I'm a content creator. I'm just like, it's good. It's good energy.
It totally is.
Yeah.
I mean, as a content creator, you also support other content creators. Yeah, I do
Totally.
the same thing.
Yeah,
totally.
For sure.
And speaking of support, you can go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. It's my website that's about to turn 10 years old, everybody.
What?
That's right. I've been talking about how more laws are more problems for more than 10 years, even though my point of view has shifted slightly on different topics. I was going back and reading an old article I did, a blog post, and I was like, man, I was even nailing it back then. So anyway, go to morelawsmoreproblems.com. That's where you could support me or follow the show. But the best way to support is just hang out here in the chat. Big shout out to the chat, by the way. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Caribe Root, who's here in Connecticut, she said rebunked wire.
Yes.
You could call it the rebunked wire.
That's awesome.
Right.
Rebunked wire, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much. And thank you again, Scott. This is great. And definitely got to have you on sometime soon again.
Cool, man. Yeah, totally. Hey, and you mind if I put this out on my platform too?
Oh, no, please do. Okay. Yeah.
And so you got all your plugs in? Like, is there anywhere else you want to shout out? Anywhere else?
Everything's there. I do have a book that people can check out if they want to read that before the next one comes out. And it's at Shadow Worked. So workeded.com. And it's basically a donation thing. And I'll send you the PDF or EPUB.
Beautiful.
That's how I'm running it right now. Yeah. So check it out. Gotten some really good feedback on that. And yeah, thanks you guys again. And we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later.